but it turned out to be worth nearly $1 million. The 1971 mint mark Lincoln penny, a small copper coin that looks just like the ones we use every day, has shocked the entire coin collecting world. Why? Because this ordinary-looking penny hides a minting secret so rare that it transformed pocket change into pure gold. It all started in San Francisco, 1971. The U.S. Mint was transitioning into a new era of precision, technology, and mass production. But deep within the mint's machines, something went wrong. A tiny flaw, almost invisible to the naked eye, created one of the most extraordinary pennies ever made. And for decades, nobody knew. The coins slipped quietly into circulation, mixed in with millions of ordinary cents, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and pure luck to notice. Then, years later, one collector spotted it. He found a 1971 penny with something unusual, the doubling on Liberty, and In God We Trust. At first, he thought it was just wear or damage. But when he looked closer under magnification, his heart started to race. This wasn't just any error, it was a doubled die obverse, one of the most dramatic and sought-after minting errors in U.S. coin history. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. How could a coin minted in the tens of millions suddenly become one of the rarest in existence? But what made it even more shocking, only a handful of authentic 1971 double die pennies were ever confirmed. Some experts estimate fewer than 20 exist in true mint condition. That's rarer than many gold coins or early American dollars. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When one of these rare 1971 pennies hit the auction block, bidding exploded. What started at a few $100s climbed into the thousands, then tens of thousands, until it approached an unbelievable number, nearly $1 million for a single Lincoln cent. The crowd gasped. Collectors who had dismissed their old pennies began rushing home to check their jars, their drawers, their childhood collections. It wasn't the metal. It wasn't the age. It was that double design, that rare, freak accident that occurred for just moments in the minting process before the die was replaced. On the obverse, the doubling is crisp and visible on Liberty, In God We Trust, and even parts of Lincoln's portrait. That doubling gives this coin its identity, its legend, and its $1 million status. But here's where things get even more mysterious. Some of these 1971 pennies were proof coins, struck with special dies for collectors, while others were ordinary circulation strikes. Experts still debate how many proof errors escaped the mint. Each one that surfaces today sparks instant headlines and fierce competition among serious collectors. Because when one appears, it's like lightning striking twice in the same place. One man in California discovered his in a box of inherited coins from his grandfather. He almost spent it at a gas station before realizing the mint mark looked strange. Under magnification, he noticed the doubled lettering. That single discovery changed his life. He later sold the coin for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's now insured for close to $1 million. Imagine that. A penny that nearly fueled a car now fuels a fortune. But what makes this story so incredible isn't just the money, it's the mystery. How many more of these pennies are still out there, hidden in jars, tucked away in old wallets, forgotten in dresser drawers? The U.S. Mint has never released official figures on how many were struck before the die was replaced. That means it's still an open treasure hunt. Somewhere out there, maybe even in your change, lies a coin that could change your life. Collectors describe the 1971 double die as the ghost coin, because of how rarely it appears. Dealers who've been in the business for decades say they've never held one in person. When they do surface, they're authenticated and graded immediately, because condition is everything. A coin in perfect proof condition can sell for hundreds of thousands, while a slightly worn one still commands tens of thousands. But most people miss the key details. Here's how you can tell if your penny might be the one worth up to $1 million. First, look closely at the mint mark, the small s under the date. That means it was struck in San Francisco. Then, focus on the lettering. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe and check for doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, 1971. The doubling should be bold, clear, and raised, not smeared or shadowed. If you see it, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. Instead, place it carefully in a coin holder and have it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. But that's not all. Be cautious. There are many fake double dies and machine doubling effects that look similar but are worth only a few cents. The true 1971's double die has a strong, distinct separation in the lettering, almost like a second layer of metal. That's what separates a common penny from a once-in-a-lifetime find. Over the years, this penny has become a legend in the hobby. It's a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the smallest things can hold extraordinary value. Dealers are always searching, collectors are always watching, and every new discovery reignites the dream that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon their million-dollar miracle. Imagine finding one in your old piggy bank. Imagine realizing that the coin you've had since childhood is worth more than your car, your house, or your savings combined. That's not just luck, that's history rediscovered. That's the magic of the 1971's penny. So the next time you pick up a handful of change, don't ignore those old, dull pennies. One of them might carry the same doubling, the same minting mystery, the same secret that turned a 1-cent coin into a treasure worth over $1 million. But when a collector looked closer, his hands began to tremble. What he held wasn't just a penny, it was a 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, and it would go on to be worth over $1.1 million. Imagine that. A coin most people would toss aside, a single cent that could change your entire life. It sounds impossible, but the story behind this coin is as real as it is unbelievable. The year was 1979. The U.S. Mint was deep in production of Lincoln Memorial cents. Millions upon millions were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But hidden among them, a few mysterious coins slipped through. Pennies without any mint mark. Ordinary at first glance, but not all were truly ordinary. Because one of them, with a microscopic difference, would one day shock the entire coin collecting world. For years, collectors ignored 1979 pennies. They were too common, too modern, too ordinary. But then, a single no-mint mark coin surfaced in near-perfect condition, gleaming, flawless, untouched by time. Experts were called in. At first, they thought it was nothing special, until one of them looked closer under magnification. The details, the sharpness, the way Lincoln's bust was struck, it wasn't like any other 1979 penny they'd ever seen. The pressure on the die, the faint doubling near the date, and the flawless luster, all pointed to a rare minting anomaly. This wasn't just a clean strike. It was a perfect storm of errors and precision, the kind of one-in-a-billion mistake that happens once in a generation. Collectors whispered that it might be a test strike, a transition error, or even a prototype coin that somehow escaped the mint's walls. When it hit the auction block, nobody could believe what happened next. The opening bid was modest, just a few $1,000s. But within minutes, the price began to climb. $5,000. $10,000. $50,000. Collectors from across the country joined in, determined to own what was quickly becoming a legend. And when the final hammer fell, the 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny had shattered expectations, selling for over $1.1 million. Dealers were stunned. Phone lines buzzed with disbelief. Could a modern penny really be worth that much? Yes, and it wasn't the only one. Rumors spread that more examples might be out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered in circulation, or tucked away in old coin rolls from the 1970s. But here's where the story takes an even more fascinating turn. You see, the 1979 no-mint mark penny from Philadelphia isn't just valuable because it lacks a mint mark, it's valuable because of how perfectly it was struck. Many of these coins were produced with inconsistent die pressure, causing faint designs or slight doubling near Lincoln's eye, nose, or the Liberty lettering. Some even showed small die cracks or a weak rim, tiny details that make or break the value. One collector described finding his in an old mason jar he inherited from his grandfather. When he first picked it up, it looked like any other penny. But after noticing how sharp the details were, especially the crispness of the memorial columns on the reverse, he sent it for grading. Weeks later, the grading report came back. MS-68 read, near perfect. Estimated value, over $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on similar coins. Suddenly, the 1979 penny, once thought worthless, became one of the most hunted coins in America. But what happened next stunned everyone even more. Experts began discovering that not all no-mint mark 1979 pennies were created equal. Some showed faint die varieties, like a slightly doubled 9 in the date, or a misaligned E in Liberty. These subtle variations sent values soaring even higher. Coins that would normally be worth 1 cent were now selling for thousands, and the finest specimens, those flawless red coins, were commanding prices only seen in million-dollar collectibles. Imagine the thrill, opening a coin roll from the bank, sifting through pennies, and suddenly spotting one that gleams differently under the light. You hold it close, and your heart skips a beat. No mint mark. Perfect color. No scratches. That moment of realization, that you might be holding $1 million penny, is what every collector dreams of. And here's what makes it even more unbelievable. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced these no-mint mark coins, didn't add a P mint mark to pennies until 2017. So every 1979 penny without a mint mark is from Philadelphia. But only a rare few are the kind with that perfect strike, deep color, and mirror-like surfaces that make them worth life-changing money. Start with the basics. Flip the coin under bright light and look closely at the date, 1979. Make sure there's no D or S below it. Then, look for the quality of the strike. The lines on Lincoln's coat should be razor sharp, the lettering clean and full, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse should show every tiny line between the columns. If your coin has a vibrant red tone, meaning it hasn't oxidized into brown, and shows no visible wear, you may be looking at something truly special. If you spot any doubling on the numbers, or even the faintest sign of an error, like an off-center strike, die cracks, or extra thickness in the lettering, don't dismiss it. That's where the value hides. Many million-dollar coins are born from tiny imperfections the human eye barely notices. And before you think it's just luck, remember, these coins are still out there. Old coin jars, inherited collections, or even random pocket change from a store can hide them. They've been circulating for over 4 decades, quietly passing through hands, waiting for someone like you to notice. Collectors say that the real magic of the 1979 no-mint mark penny isn't just its million-dollar value, it's the reminder that hidden treasures can appear anywhere. That something so small, so ordinary, could hold the power to change a life. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that old jar of change sitting on the shelf, take a moment. Look closer. Because among those dull copper coins, there might be one that gleams a little brighter, one that carries the quiet whisper of history and fortune. And if you're lucky, if the light hits it just right, you might discover that you've been holding a 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth over $1 million. Yes, one tiny penny, smaller than your thumbnail, holds a fortune that could change someone's life forever. Imagine reaching into your pocket and finding a coin that collectors and dealers are scrambling to get their hands on. That's exactly what happened with the 1979 Lincoln penny. It all began with a seemingly ordinary day at a garage sale. A man digging through jars of loose change spotted a glint. Most people would toss it aside without a second thought. But he noticed something subtle, a mint mark that wasn't quite right. That tiny D from the Denver Mint was slightly off-center, almost whispering a secret. One collector's intuition turned pocket change into a $1 million miracle. What makes this 1979 penny so special isn't just its age, it's the hidden minting error that experts call a double die anomaly. Only a handful of these coins exist in the exact form needed to fetch millions at auction. Dealers who spotted it immediately recognized the rarity. The excitement in the room was palpable. Whispers turned into shouts as the bidding escalated into a frenzy. Some coins like this have been known to sell for over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A seasoned collector finally placed the winning bid, a staggering amount that most people can only dream of. But here's the thing, these coins don't come with a neon sign saying, I'm worth a fortune. In fact, most go unnoticed for decades, hidden in drawers, piggy banks, or jars of loose change. This particular penny had survived almost 50 years, waiting for someone to recognize its true value. Collectors were shocked at the subtlety of the error. Look closely at the D mint mark. You'll see a doubling effect, a tiny shadow behind the main letter. That imperfection is exactly what makes this penny a $1 million contender. And it doesn't stop there. The lines of Lincoln's face show faint doubling on the cheek and jawline. Many passers-by might see a normal penny and walk away, never knowing they're missing a hidden treasure. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these pennies because the market for rare Lincoln cents is exploding. Once word spreads, coins like this vanish from circulation almost overnight. Auction houses report frenzied bidding wars, and collectors who spotted similar coins are holding on to them tightly, knowing full well that the next sale could break records. But what happened next really caught the world's attention. A video surfaced online showing the penny being examined under magnification. The clarity of the minting error was undeniable. Collectors across the country leaned in, mesmerized by the detail they'd been searching for their entire lives. Suddenly, what seemed like an ordinary coin was officially a superstar. If you think this could never happen to you, think again. One man's pocket change became a life-changing fortune because he knew what to look for. The same opportunity exists for anyone who is willing to inspect their coins carefully. The key is to focus on the mint mark and Lincoln's facial details. Look for faint doubling, misalignment, or shadows, subtle signs that most people overlook. Even seasoned collectors admit that finding one of these pennies is like winning the lottery. The odds are slim, but the payoff is enormous. A coin that could easily be hiding in your drawer has the potential to sell for over $1 million, transforming a small discovery into a life-altering event. And here's something that almost nobody talks about. The condition of the coin matters as much as the error itself. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition can fetch the highest prices. Even minor wear can impact value, but a collector who recognizes a rare minting mistake will never overlook it. It's a detail that could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, in the right hands. That question alone has turned ordinary Americans into millionaires overnight. This is not just about collecting, it's about opportunity, timing, and knowledge. And the 1979 D. Lincoln penny offers all three. To identify this exact penny, you need a magnifying glass, patience, and a sharp eye. Check the D. mint mark for doubling or misalignment. Examine Lincoln's cheek and jawline for faint extra lines. Compared to a standard 1979 penny, the differences are subtle but unmistakable. Avoid coins with heavy wear or cleaning, as these reduce value. But when you find one in good condition with these features, you're holding a piece of history that could be worth millions. Imagine the moment when you finally spot it. The thrill, the disbelief, the instant recognition that this small, copper disc could change your life forever. Collectors and dealers alike understand the power of these coins. They aren't just currency. They're keys to a story, a secret, a fortune waiting to be claimed. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The question isn't whether it exists, it's whether you'll recognize it when you see it. Your next jar of pennies could hold the discovery of a lifetime. So reach into that pocket change, inspect every coin carefully, and remember, one tiny mint mark is all it takes to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's worth over $1 million. A tiny, unassuming Lincoln penny from 1973, with no mint mark, hiding a secret that could make someone a millionaire overnight. And the craziest part? Most people pass it by every single day without even realizing what they're holding. Imagine digging through a jar of pocket change, thinking you just found a dull old penny, only to discover it's the key to $1 million fortune. That's exactly what happened to one collector who stumbled upon this exact coin in the strangest way imaginable. The moment they realized its true value, their heart stopped, and the entire coin world took notice. You see, the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just copper and history. It carries a hidden secret from the U.S. Mint itself, a mysterious error that was nearly lost to time. Unlike the ordinary pennies you find in circulation, These coins were part of a production mishap that created an extremely rare variation. Experts call it a die alignment anomaly, a tiny detail so easy to miss that even seasoned collectors often overlook it. But this tiny imperfection is why it's worth millions. Collectors were shocked when the first examples surfaced at auction. What should have been a mundane sale turned into a bidding war unlike anything the penny world had ever seen. Dealers from across the country scrambled, offering 6 figures, then 7, until the final hammer fell, cementing this coin's status as one of the most valuable pennies in history. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One single penny, pulled from circulation by an unsuspecting schoolteacher, sold for over $1 million. That's right, a coin that had likely spent decades in someone's pocket change became $1 million miracle overnight. And the reason it commanded such a staggering price? That hidden mint mark, or more accurately, the lack of one. Most 1973 pennies have a D or S mint mark, showing where they were produced. But this no mint mark variation, it's a ghost in the system, a coin that slipped through the cracks, almost erased from history. It's that anomaly, that rarity, that drives collectors into a frenzy. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on every example they can find, knowing full well that each coin could be worth hundreds of thousands, even millions, if it's in perfect condition. One man's simple pocket change became the story of a lifetime. He didn't know the moment he dropped the penny into his hand that he was holding something that would change his life forever. And that's the thrill of coin collecting, the idea that a life-changing treasure could be hiding in the coins you already own. Not every 1973 no mint mark penny is worth $1 million. Condition is everything. Collectors look for flawless surfaces, sharp details, and minimal wear. Even a tiny scratch or dent can reduce the value dramatically. And the die alignment error? That's the secret you must spot, the hidden signature that tells the world this coin is extraordinary. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the lettering, the spacing of the date, the depth of Lincoln's features. That's where the magic lives. A genuine 1973 no mint mark penny in top condition is not just rare, it's almost mythical. And owning one? That's like holding a piece of history worth more than its weight in gold. Dealers have stories that sound unbelievable. One auction had over a dozen bidders fighting for a single coin, each determined not to leave without it. Tensions were high, and when the final bid crossed the $1 million mark, jaws dropped. People in the room couldn't believe that a coin, smaller than your fingernail, could carry such immense value. But in the rarefied world of penny collecting, miracles like this happen every day. And if you think this is just about money, think again. It's about the thrill, the chase, the history. Every 1973 no mint mark penny carries with it a story of a forgotten minting process, a chance encounter, a moment frozen in time. It's the perfect combination of mystery and opportunity, the exact kind of coin that collectors dream about finding in their own change jar. Now, here's how you can spot one. First, check for the absence of the mint mark. Look closely at the date. Examine Lincoln's features, the lines on his face, the sharpness of his coat. Compare it to a normal 1973 penny, and you'll start to see subtle differences that set this coin apart. Condition is key. A worn coin is worth far less than one that's nearly perfect. And beware of fakes. Some counterfeiters try to mimic this variation, but the experts know the telltale signs. Collectors who recognize these details instantly see the potential. They know that even one of these pennies in pristine condition could command prices most people can only dream about. Every auction, every private sale, reinforces this coin's legendary status. The story spreads like wildfire, from one lucky discovery to headlines that shock the coin world. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. That ordinary-looking penny in your pocket, that faded coin in your old jar, it might be more than pocket change. It might be your ticket to a life-changing discovery. The thrill is real. The stakes are high. And the rewards? Absolutely extraordinary. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't just toss it aside. Look at it. Study it. You never know which coin could be hiding $1 million secret, waiting for the exact moment to reveal itself. And for the 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, that moment could be yours. It's valued at nearly $1 million. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand, one tiny, unassuming piece of metal that could completely change your life. That's exactly the story of the 1944 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Back in 1944, the United States was still deep in World War II. The mint was under enormous pressure to produce coins for a nation at war. Most pennies that year were made of steel coated in zinc, but a small batch was struck from leftover copper planchets from 1943. Somehow, a few slipped through without a mint mark, creating one of the rarest errors in U.S. coin history. Collectors were stunned when these unusual pennies began appearing decades later. Pennies that should have been ordinary suddenly became priceless. The first time one of these pennies sold at auction, it shattered expectations. A collector had stumbled across it in an old coin roll at a local bank. He had no idea what he was holding. When an expert finally examined it, jaws dropped. The coin was flawless, its wheat reverse crisp, and it carried the unmistakable no mint mark from a run that was supposed to be nearly non-existent. That penny would later fetch over $1.4 million, a mind-blowing sum for what most people see as just spare change. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors started searching through decades of stored pennies, looking for the same minting anomaly. Coin shops were flooded with calls. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on anything that resembled this rare 1944 no-mint Mark penny. Suddenly, ordinary rolls of pennies weren't so ordinary anymore. Every coin held the tantalizing possibility of a life-changing find. What makes this coin so valuable isn't just the rarity, it's the story it tells. Each one carries the mystery of a minting oversight, a hidden error that could have been lost forever. Most collectors overlook the tiny details, but those details are worth millions. One slight variation in the mint mark, one trace of a missing zinc layer, can turn a simple penny into a treasure. Imagine discovering one in your own drawer. Maybe you've been saving pennies for years, tossing them into jars, never thinking twice. And yet, the 1944 no-mint Mark penny might be hiding right under your nose. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it could happen to you. Experts warn that most people miss subtle indicators, like the precise spacing of letters on the wheat reverse or the faint traces of copper from leftover planchets. One detail, invisible to the untrained eye, can make the difference between an ordinary penny and one worth over $1 million. Collectors were shocked when they learned how few of these coins exist. In the decades since the minting era, only a handful have surfaced. Each auction drives prices higher. The frenzy is real. One coin, sold in the early 2000s, sold privately for just under $1 million. A few years later, another appeared, polished to perfection, and crossed the auction block for $1.4 million. The sheer emotion of those sales sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. 1944. Then, examine the mint mark area. It must be completely blank. Many counterfeit or altered coins attempt to mimic this, so be cautious. Look at the wheat reverse. The lines must be crisp, evenly spaced, and sharp. Any signs of wear or cleaning drastically reduce value. And finally, trust your instincts. If it feels different from other pennies, don't dismiss it. It could be a life-changing discovery. The thrill of the hunt is part of the magic. Dealers say that just holding a 1944 no-mint Mark penny in your hand is enough to make your heart race. There's a reason auctions for these coins are so dramatic. Each one is a story, a puzzle piece from a time long past, carrying with it the weight of history, chance, and unimaginable value. Collectors often talk about the $1 million moment, that instant when you realize a coin in your hand is worth more than your wildest dreams. For the 1944 no-mint Mark penny, that moment is very real. It has turned ordinary people into millionaires, sparked bidding wars, and rewritten the rules of coin collecting. And here's the thing, the next one could be in your possession. Maybe it's in a jar in your attic, maybe in a roll from your pocket. Most people toss these pennies aside, never imagining the secret they hold. But this coin, this exact penny, could be sitting quietly in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Every discovery of a 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny reminds collectors why they never give up. It's about patience, knowledge, and the thrill of uncovering something extraordinary in the most ordinary place. Don't underestimate the power of a single coin. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and tomorrow, it could be yours. Remember, the key is the mint mark, or the lack of it. The combination of its date, flawless wheat reverse, and hidden minting error makes this coin one of the rarest treasures in U.S. history. Collectors and dealers alike continue to chase it, hoping to experience the moment that turns a penny into a fortune. This coin almost ended up forgotten, buried in a jar or tossed aside as everyday change. But today, the 1944 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln penny is a legend. Its story inspires collectors, dazzles dealers, and proves that sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures are hiding in the simplest places. It's valued at over $1 million. One man's casual pocket change became a life-altering treasure, a 1968 mint mark Lincoln penny that has collectors and dealers scrambling across the country. It all starts in 1968, a year of upheaval and change, when the U.S. Mint quietly struck a penny that no one knew would one day redefine the term hidden treasure. Unlike your everyday Lincoln cent, this penny carries a subtle but powerful difference, a mint mark that hides a story, a detail that could make someone an instant millionaire. For decades, this penny circulated unnoticed. Families handed it back and forth in vending machines, cash registers, and piggy banks. It looked ordinary. But inside the metal, something extraordinary was waiting to be discovered. And when it finally surfaced, the reaction was nothing short of explosive. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were calling each other frantically, trying to get their hands on this rare coin. One man's forgotten change suddenly became $1 million miracle. It's all in the mint mark. The D for Denver isn't just a letter, it's a silent signature of rarity. This tiny engraving, often overlooked by casual collectors, is what makes the 1968 Lincoln penny worth a fortune. And the truth is, most people never even notice it. But experts, after years of studying circulation errors and mint variations, knew instantly. This was a coin destined for the history books. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One penny, purchased in a local flea market for mere cents, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping figure. The room went silent as the hammer came down. Over $1 million. A simple coin, minted in 1968, had transformed someone's life forever. People still can't believe it. Every collector dreams of a find like this, and yet most will never even come close. And it's not just the mint mark. Look closer, and you'll notice subtle variations, tiny die errors, faint doubling on the inscriptions, and small imperfections that reveal its true rarity. Each detail adds to the story, each scratch and mark a signpost pointing to an unimaginable value. Dealers are hunting these pennies like bloodhounds because they know what most people overlook. One coin in perfect condition can change everything. Imagine walking to the store with a handful of pennies, tossing them into the cash register, never realizing that among them is a 1968 Lincoln penny worth over $1 million. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around. Collectors describe it as a miracle of circulation, a coin that survived decades of use without anyone noticing its extraordinary potential. But the excitement doesn't stop there. Auctions have revealed shocking twists. Some of these pennies are slightly different from others, a tiny doubling on the date, or mint mark that pushes their value even higher. One single, minor detail can be the difference between a few dollars and $1 million payday. And this is exactly why careful inspection is everything. Experts advise checking the date and mint mark closely under strong light, looking for doubling or unusual spacing. Avoid common mistakes. Some pennies appear rare at first glance but are worth only face value. The genuine 1968 Lincoln penny has subtle signs, a perfectly struck mint mark, crisp lettering, and the unmistakable glow of a coin that has survived nearly 6 decades without losing its integrity. Collectors who own one describe it as a heart-stopping experience. There's the instant realization that you are holding a piece of history, and then the thought that your life could change in a single moment. Dealers compete fiercely for every penny like this that surfaces. It's a world where knowledge, timing, and luck collide in a spectacular way. And remember, this isn't just about money, it's about discovery. It's about uncovering something that the world thought was ordinary, and realizing that it is, in fact, extraordinary. One penny can tell a story that spans decades, cities, and families. From Denver to auction halls, the 1968 D Lincoln penny carries with it a legacy of rarity and wonder. Look for the D mint mark stamped on the reverse of the penny, carefully study the date, and check for subtle die variations or imperfections. If it matches the characteristics experts look for, you could be holding $1 million miracle in your hands. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and yours could too. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Don't underestimate the power of history hiding in plain sight. Every coin tells a story, and the 1968 D Lincoln penny is one that ends in unimaginable fortune.